Welcome to another pop culture crash course. Today we're covering the Ghostbusters series. Peter Venkman, Ray Stantz, and Egon Spangler are parapsychology professors at Columbia University. Following their first encounter with a ghost in the New York Public Library, the three scientists are fired by the dean, who dismisses the credibility of their research. In response, they develop high-tech equipment to capture and contain ghosts, establishing themselves as Ghostbusters.
We're ready to believe you!
A paranormal investigation service operating from a disused firehouse. After a paranormal encounter in her apartment, cellist Dana Barrett calls the Ghostbusters. Dana recounts seeing a demonic dog-like creature that uttered a single word, Zool. After the events in Dana's apartment, supernatural activity increases across the city. After they successfully capture the ghost Slimer at the Sedgwick Hotel, the team are called upon to eliminate the escalating paranormal threats. Due to growing demand, the group hire a fourth member, Winston Zeddemore. Ray and Egon research Zool to look for details regarding Dana's building. They learn Zool was a demigod worshipped as servant to Gozer the Gozerian, a shape-shifting god of destruction. Dana and her neighbor Lewis are then attacked and possessed by Gozer's minions. After accusing the Ghostbusters of breaching environmental safety laws, city officials have them arrested and the containment unit deactivated, causing an explosion that releases the captured ghosts. In jail, the team learn that Dana's building was designed to function as an antenna to summon Gozer and bring about the apocalypse.
And now it looks like it may actually happen.
Faced with supernatural chaos across the city, the Ghostbusters convince the mayor to release them to deal with the threats. The Ghostbusters travel to the apartment building roof as Dana and Lewis open the gate between dimensions, transforming into demonic dogs. Gozer appears and attacks the Ghostbusters and demands they choose the form of the Destructor. Ray inadvertently summons a 100-foot marshmallow man that begins destroying the city. Against earlier advice, Egon instructs the team to cross their proton streams at the dimensional gate. The resulting explosion destroys Gozer's avatar, banishing it back to its dimension and closing the gateway. The Ghostbusters rescue Dana and Lewis from the wreckage and are welcomed onto the street as heroes. 5 years later, the Ghostbusters have been sued for property damage incurred during the events of the first film and barred from investigating the supernatural, forcing them out of business. Ray, now the owner of an occult bookstore, attends kids' birthday parties along with Winston. Egon continues to conduct experiments as a theoretical physicist, whilst Peter is now the host of TV series World of the Psychic.
They think you're a fraud.
I am a fraud.
Dana Barrett, now working as an art cleaner, turns to the former paranormal investigators for help when her baby Oscar's stroller rolls into a busy intersection, seemingly by itself. The Ghostbusters excavate the intersection where Oscar's stroller stopped, discovering a river of slime running under the city. Ray obtains a sample but is attacked by the slime and accidentally breaks a pipe that falls onto a power line. This inadvertently causes a citywide blackout that leads to their arrest. In the courtroom, the slime is presented as evidence.
Your Honor, this is important.
The slime begins to respond physically to the judge's angry tirade and explodes, summoning two ghosts. In exchange for the dismissal of their case and the right to resume their Ghostbusters business, the team offer to take care of the threat. The offer is accepted and the team successfully apprehend the ghosts, putting them back in business. At Dana's museum, a painting of Vigo the Carpathian, a 16th century European tyrant and powerful magician, comes to life and enslaves Dana's boss, Janosch. Vigo orders Janosch to bring him a child to possess so that he may live again and conquer the world. Due to his infatuation with Dana, Janosch chooses Oscar. After the slime attacks Oscar, the Ghostbusters discover that it reacts to emotions. Determining Vigo and the slime are connected, Egon, Ray, and Winston investigate the river of slime, confirming the effects of its negative energy. The Ghostbusters attempt to tell the mayor of their suspicions but are dismissed and committed to a psychiatric hospital to protect the mayor's political interests. A spirit in the form of Janosch kidnaps Oscar. On New Year's Eve, the slime rises to the streets, causing widespread supernatural chaos, leading to the Ghostbusters being released to take care of the threats once again. The Ghostbusters use slime charged with positive emotions to animate and pilot the Statue of Liberty through the streets of New York. Thanks to the positive emotions of New Yorkers, the Ghostbusters are able to use the statue's torch to break through the ceiling and stop Vigo from possessing Oscar. Vigo takes on physical form, immobilizing Dana and the Ghostbusters, and recaptures Oscar. The positive emotions of the gathering crowd begin to weaken Vigo. Vigo then possesses Ray, but the Ghostbusters use their weapons to free him and defeat Vigo. Once defeated, Vigo's painting is replaced with a depiction of the Ghostbusters surrounding Oscar. In the aftermath, the Ghostbusters are cheered by the city and the Statue of Liberty returned to Liberty Island. Abby Yates and Erin Gilbert are particle physicists and estranged friends who co-authored a book together detailing their investigations into the paranormal. Years later, Erin, a professor now on the verge of tenure, discovers that Abby plans to republish their work. Erin tries to convince Abby to cease in the book's publication, but after encountering a malevolent ghost together in a haunted house, Erin restores her belief in the supernatural and her friendship with Abby. But after news that they are conducting paranormal research goes viral, the two, along with Abby's associate Jillian Holtzman, lose their jobs. After stealing equipment, they establish a temporary headquarters above a Chinese restaurant. They build technology to track ghosts and hire jock Kevin Beckman as a receptionist. MTA staffer Patty Tolan encounters a ghost in the subway terminal and contacts the team. They find the ghost and test Jillian's prototype proton pack on the entity, but fail to capture it. With her knowledge of New York, Patty then joins the team, who begin advertising their services as Ghostbusters. We learn that the supernatural events occurring have been triggered by Rowan North, a mad scientist and occultist whose experiments are on the verge of creating a dimensional vortex. The Ghostbusters realize Rowan is planting his devices along ley lines intersecting at the Mikado Hotel in Times Square. They find that Rowan's vortex will breach a ghostly dimension at the intersection, potentially triggering an apocalypse. During a confrontation, Rowan electrocutes himself with his machine to become a ghost. When Rowan returns, he attacks and attempts to take over Abby but fails. He then possesses Kevin and escapes to the hotel, opening the portal and releasing the ghosts. With the authorities subdued, the Ghostbusters fight through Rowan's spectral army to reach the portal. After leaving Kevin's body, Rowan takes the form of the ghost in the Ghostbusters logo, going on a rampage through the streets of New York. The team uses Ecto-1's reactor as a makeshift bomb, detonating a nuclear explosion inside the vortex. This reverses the portal and forces Rowan and the ghosts back in, restoring the city. Rowan tries to drag Abby with him in retaliation, but Erin leaps into the portal and rescues her. The Ghostbusters, now heroes, move to a disused firehouse with new resources where they build more equipment, including an ecto-containment unit. 32 years after defeating Vigo the Carpathian, Egon Spangler has relocated to Summerville, Oklahoma, where after failing to lure a ghost into a cleverly designed trap, suffers a fatal heart attack. After Egon's estranged daughter Callie and her two children Trevor and Phoebe are evicted from their apartment, they move to Egon's farm, which has been left to Callie. In Summerville, Trevor gets a job at the drive-in and meets waitress Lucky. Phoebe is enrolled in summer school where she befriends fellow student Podcast and meets eccentric seismologist Gary Gruberson. Phoebe discovers the house is haunted, finding a PKE meter under Egon's chair, and is led to a hidden ghost trap, while Trevor finds and repairs a dilapidated Ecto-1. Lucky takes Trevor to an old mineshaft with her friends where they witness a paranormal event. Phoebe shows the ghost trap to Podcast and Gary, who reveals he's a fan of the Ghostbusters. While investigating Summerville, he determines the town has been consistently experiencing strange earthquakes despite not being situated above a fault line. Gary, Phoebe, and Podcast tamper with the ghost trap, accidentally releasing a bestial entity that escapes into Shandor's mine. Under the direction of her grandfather's spirit, Phoebe finds and restores a proton pack. She and Podcast test the weapon on Muncher, an extramorphic ghost that escapes into Summerville. After Phoebe informs Trevor that their grandfather was a Ghostbuster, the trio chase Muncher with the Ecto-1 and capture it. However, the group were arrested by Lucky's father and have their gear confiscated. Phoebe contacts Ray Stantz, who explains that when Egon's teammates doubted his belief in the coming apocalypse, he stole the Ecto-1 and equipment and moved to Summerville. Trevor, Phoebe, Lucky, and Podcast investigate the mine where they find a temple dedicated to Gozer and the body of Ivo Shandor, the cultist responsible for designing the apartment building in the original film. We then learn that the mine serves as a gateway between dimensions, which is being kept at bay by proton streams left in place by Egon before his death. Gary and Callie are possessed by Vince Cortho and Zool, respectively. Vince destroys Egon's proton cannons, causing an interdimensional cataclysm that enables Gozer and Shandor to rise. Indifferent to his worship, Gozer kills the recently reanimated Shandor. The kids discover Egon's trap for Gozer and, donning the original Ghostbusters jumpsuits, retrieve the confiscated gear to enact his plan. After Phoebe distracts Gozer, Podcast traps Zool, freeing Callie and weakening Gozer. They lure Gozer to the trap field to ambush it, but it again malfunctions. Zool is freed and then possesses Lucky, bringing Gozer back to full strength. Ray arrives with Peter Venkman and Winston Zeddemore to aid the Spanglers and their friends, but Gozer counters the Ghostbusters' tactics. Phoebe battles Gozer herself, enabling everyone to regroup. with Egon's ghost materializing beside his granddaughter to help. Phoebe and the Ghostbusters restrain Gozer and activate the field's traps, capturing the extra-dimensional being and its minions, freeing Gary and Lucky. Egon reconciles with his family and friends before departing into the afterlife. In the after-credits scene, we see Venkman and Dana Barrett play with ESP cards and a shock machine. Winston, now a wealthy businessman, uses his resources to maintain the Ghostbusters property. In the final shot, the Ecto Containment Unit's warning light begins to blink. Thank you for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell to be notified for our next video.